We'll have more on that story, of course. We're going to follow the press briefings as well as the developments coming out of Florida. We have another breaking story also to follow for you. Another earthquake striking Southern California overnight. And this was a big one. It was 11 times stronger than the quake in the same area on the 4th of July. This one led to house fires, building damaged, yet more cracked roads in the middle of the night. Fortunately, only minor injuries.
Thought that I was getting dizzy because it started off slowly and then it went faster and faster.
I ran up to my house. My house is completely on the ground and leveled, destroyed.
I was smoking cigarettes outside. I thought, this is it, end of the world. It shook like crazy.
I was like trying to get to mom and I couldn't, and I was like just holding onto the ground, like trying not to open up.
Not to open up. Well, California's governor requested a presidential emergency declaration to get federal assistance to the state in that area. This new quake, by the way, is notably larger than the one the previous day. The tremor after 8 p.m. last night, local time. If you look at the strength, 5 times bigger, releasing 11 times more energy. They happened about 7 miles apart from each other, both close to the desert city of Ridgecrest. People felt it 150 miles away at least in Los Angeles, all the way out to Las Vegas, Sacramento, far north, as well as Phoenix in a different state. Aftershocks continue, and experts say there is a 96% chance of another magnitude 5 earthquake in the next few days. Let's go to NBC's Joe Fryer, who is in Ridgecrest for us right now. And you know, when we were following this after the first quake here, Joe, it was like, will you be able to sleep at night keeping one eye open? And here it is, another big one happening overnight.
Yeah, and it's really, caught people off guard. They were used to aftershocks after that 6.4 quake on Thursday. There were dozens and dozens of aftershocks. I was here in Ridgecrest yesterday morning. It seems like much longer, but yesterday morning we felt what at the time was the largest aftershock of 5.4. So it was something you noticed but didn't cause any damage. Turns out all of that was just a precursor for the 7.1 that hit last night. I want you to see behind me here. This is some of the worst damage we've seen so far, and that's because a fire actually started, neighbors say, immediately after the earthquake hit. People walked outside and saw this mobile home here on fire. Fire crews were able to arrive quickly. Even though the home went up quickly, they were able to put the fire out within about 10 minutes and prevent it from spreading any farther. But the man who lives next door, Bob Blodeck, we spoke with him. He was at home last night with his 8-year-old granddaughter and described what he went through. Take a listen.
It has been an up and down the last few days. I've never in my life in Ridgecrest have I been through so many quakes in such a short period of time, and so strong of quakes in such a short period of time as what this has been. This is not how we planned on celebrating the 4th of July.
So far here in Ridgecrest, there have been no reports of any major structural damage. All of the buildings are still standing. The worst of the damage is a couple of homes that caught fire and a few other mobile homes that maybe got jostled and knocked around a little bit. But it's a different story when you look inside people's homes. For example, Bob's there. Pretty much everything that wasn't already on the ground after the 6.4 quake on Thursday got knocked to the ground very quickly after that 7.1 earthquake. Richard.
Wow, Joe, thank you so much. Hopefully things stay steady, as they say there in Ridgecrest right now. Ridgecrest, California, Joe Fryer, thank you. We're going to turn now to the mayor of Ridgecrest, Peggy Breeden. She joins us by phone. Mayor, thanks for being with us. Your latest check-in with emergency services, what did you learn?
We have toured all the streets, walked in, and driven every single street inside the city. We are assessing damages that are visible, and we're asking people to, if they have cracks or feel they need inspections of their homes or their buildings, to call us, and we are doing that. It is a time of thankfulness for so many of us, because even though there's been some minimal damage, some significant, we had no lives lost and only small injuries, walking on broken glass, things like that.
Mayor, you know, one of the big concerns right now after 7-1, after as well the 6+ that you had on July 4th is gas. And we were just talking about a story in Florida where there's a potential gas explosion there. Here in Ridgecrest, are folks ready? And how's the gas company dealing with this as they do look around in the area to make sure people's natural gas pipes are working okay?
We just got a call from Pacific Gas and Electric. All the lines have been inspected. The only issues there may be is if somebody has a line connected to their homes, that there may be some issues there. But we have had electrical. We have had amazing cooperation. After declaring a state of emergency, Governor Newsom called me and said they were declaring a state of emergency. Kern County is declaring a state of emergency. And the White House jumped on. It gave us the opportunity to get significant help that may have not been there so rapidly. We've had officers out on the street. We've had a little bit of looting, very, very little. And I'm very proud of our community because everything that's been seen has been reported. And we haven't been able to catch them all, but we have opportunity, and we know who they are.
Mayor, and I know that frustrates many to hear that there are those out there that would be looting in such a situation. Flip side, as you know so well, Mayor, and I remember Loma Prieta, which I had to live through, neighbors come together in ways they haven't done before, and you've probably seen that in your town.
We are seeing it over and over and over. Many, many people are calling in and saying, I went on the radio and on the TV and all press releases. If you see something, say something. And we're asking them to look at, don't call 911 because you got a question. Call 911 because you have an emergency. And we're getting numerous calls, some reporting things that look questionable to people, and we are doing that. We are a community of 28,000 people, and we are in the middle of the high desert and working together.
Mayor, if you had one headline for tomorrow's church services, as those who do go there in Ridgecrest, to be thankful that there were no deaths, no casualties, what would it be for you?
Pray for tomorrow that we don't get any more major aftershocks, and that to understand that if we do, we will deal with it.
Yep. Amen to that. No more for tomorrow. I agree with you. Mayor, I know you're busy. Mayor Peggy Breeden there of Ridgecrest, my best to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And to your listeners.
You betcha.
Thank you.
You betcha. There are a lot of questions about what happens next. For that, we turn now to Peggy Hellwig, a seismologist at the UC Berkeley Seismological Laboratory. And I'm glad I was able to kind of get that out there, Peggy, at least the pronunciation. But the question now is next. Will we get something bigger than this 7-1? Is this a foreshock or not? Just say yes or no, and you're probably going to say we don't know.
We don't know. So the answer is earthquakes are more difficult to predict than what Congress and the president will do.
So as we look then at the two quakes that we've had over the course of 3 days now, 2.5 days, what would be the headline you think from this in the history books 5 years from now?
So my guess is that there will be a lot of aftershocks. This is a very productive aftershock sequence already. There are lots of aftershocks happening, and they will go on for a couple of years. Maybe after 5 years, they'll have died down a lot.
Right.
In general, if we have a foreshock and a main shock, the chance of there being a bigger earthquake afterwards is very small, but never zero.
Never zero.
And never zero.
Did it get smaller then, Peggy, because we've now had two that the big one will hit?
Sorry, ask me again.
So because we've had the 7-1 and then we also had the 6+ on July 4th, the probability of the big one, 8+ happening, went down a little bit?
I don't think the 8+